Hello, everybody. Be with you in just a moment. Let me put up my green screen. Beep. Come on. There we go. Magic about to happen. Ta-da! Hey everybody, welcome on in. I'm DC. You can find me all across the internet, DC Lasair. Go to my website, dclasair.com, !DC in chat if you ever want to get that. Also follow me on Blue Sky. I have a couple affiliate links for you as well, !AF in chat if you would like to call those up. First one is for Doris, an excellent link in bio site, blog platform, link shortener, all those fun things. Use that link in chat to go there. And if you like what you see, use my discount code DCLasair to get 30% off for 3 months. And also, Fantasy Grounds. Fantasy Grounds is a VTT and has a fantastic new reader app now in beta. Use the affiliate link when you make a purchase, and a little bit of that goes towards me. So yeah, check both those out. That'd be fantastic if you did. I hope everyone's doing well on this Wednesday. Let me power up something real quick here. Gotta move some windows around. Getting into it, I was watching AGDQ, which is Awesome Games Done Quick. And it's a charity drive where you get to see lots of speed runs. And there's a run y'all should check out. It happened just about an hour ago or so. Go, hey JD lady, welcome on in. Thanks for the work lurk. Go to the GDQ YouTube and check out today's stream. So probably go there tomorrow, check it out. But check out the truck driver simulator run. It is really, really funny. It's about 35 minutes long. And just very funny. And the most wonderful chaos happens during it. Let's see here. All right. So let me get my feet warming. And we'll break into the talk and we'll get some lo-fi going. Be pretty fantastic. Okay. And you can still see some of my stuff over here. All right, let's see here. Do I want to adjust that more? Could adjust that, but that brings me down a little too much. Nah, I'm good where I am. Okay. Camera adjustment. Yay! Camera adjustment live. Even better. All right, and let me double check my streams. Okay, seems to be running. Yay. All right, I'm trying vertical streaming on both Twitch and YouTube, so yeah, if you like those, go see it. Let's see, this isn't what I was looking for. Just a second here. Let me figure out where I put a thing. Okay. first thing I want to do is show you all once again my TTRPG vault that I'll be releasing to all of you fairly soon. And then we'll get into breaking down a show and how that's going to translate into home game stuff and all that. But first of all, I do everything in my Obsidian vault. And as soon as I make an instructional video, I'll be releasing it to everybody, have a link, and y'all can use it. So let me, I should have let me double check my windows here. Yeah, all right. That's fine. Okay. Yay, me double, oh, you know what? I don't have captions on. Hold on one moment. Should be there. Show preview. Okay, captions. Captions, yeah! Woohoo! Welcome on in. All right, so first, I want to show off my vault. This is what I'll be working in today. Once I get Spirit Lo-Fi going, and you'll be seeing that screen while I'm typing away, staring at a screen. So, you know, there's some chill vibes going on. But first, we gotta talk and show you off a couple of things. So this is my vault. All right, let's oh, you know, hold on here. I gotta turn on one more thing. Anyway, eventually you'll all have access to this. And unfortunately today I can't show you what I'll be typing in due to if one of my players watching or if someone winds up playing in this campaign. But I can show you the structure, right? So when you get the vault, hey, look, I have an instructions page. There's demo, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, vault setup, using the vault, inspirations and copyright licenses. So there's written instructions, but here I'm just going to do I'm also going to add a link to video instructions somewhere in here. As well, I'm thinking of some changes to recommend, and then using the vault, what my design intent was, going over the various folders, how I organize things, the idea for organizing, outlines. So hopefully this all helps you out when you're structuring a thing. Here's all my inspirations. Creative Commons license. I'm distributing it under a Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 international license. And then because there was a couple concepts from Sly Flourish, Mike Shea wants a Creative Commons thing, so we put that in there. And then, you know, about me, when you want to support the stuff I make, because that would be cool too. But breaking into it, so when you go to make databases, I give you a folder to put them in, and that'll be a large part of your structure. But I have DM info, and down here player info. And start you off, campaign outline, overview, the 3 main antagonists idea, name description. So I'll be kind of filling out some of this today for the campaign I'll be doing. And it takes you through, so you outline the campaign, then you have a folder for world, characters, monsters, magic items, maps, and then adventures, sessions. And I give you outlines for adventures and sessions as well. If you want to use them, go ahead, make changes, whatever. I mean, the vault's going to be yours. When, do with it as you will. Just follow the thing, and if you share it with anyone, you get, got the Creative Commons license in there. So some, add that. Give me some credit. That'd be great. And then player info, just so you can keep the two separate. So you could create like a secrets thing for characters if you want to, and then copy the note, paste it into the player, delete the secrets info, and then paste it into the player info. And then you could share the player info either through a Google Drive, or there are numerous ways to share a Obsidian vault, or just parts of an Obsidian vault. So whether you separate out player info into its own thing, or you just put these files, because these are inside here will essentially all be, these will be folders on your hard drive, and inside the folders will be markdown files, and your players can open markdown files in any text editor they want. So even if they don't want to view this in an Obsidian, they still have a way to look at the information. So yeah, this is what I'm working from. And again, this is coming out to y'all as soon as I make a video about instructions for it, because that'd be helpful. All right. So there's part one, what we're talking about today. Okay, let's close that and close that. Now then, the other thing I wanted to bring up was structuring a show. Hey Rex, welcome on in. Good to see you. So for this particular campaign, this is going to be the Shadow Dark campaign I've been talking about. Nix, hello, welcome on in. Thanks for the raid. Hello, everyone. Let me get you a shout out. Oops. I can type. I swear I am typing things correctly. Hope your stream went well. There we go. Okay, shout out. Do the thing. Yeah. I can type and hit buttons. So hey, I'm DC. Welcome on in. I'm a producer of many tabletop role-playing game actual plays. I'm a moderator for a bunch of people. I create content on the internet, and today doing some TTRPG planning, and I was just getting into breaking down a show. But first, my schedule. So thanks for coming on in. If you want to continue seeing this, hit the follow button down below. That'd be fantastic. And my schedule is 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, Monday through Friday, right here on twitch.tv/DC Lasair. And Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, video games. Wednesday is a craft day or TTRPG day. Fridays is Tech Friday, where I talk about latest streaming tech and tech just around tabletop role-playing games and various other things. We're going to break into some spirit lo-fi here once I get into the planning thing. So come on in, chill out. And I was just about to go into breaking down a actual play show into from the larger concept into episodes, into acts, all of that. So I'm going to be running a Shadow Dark game, and let's see if I have the book available. Don't I have it right here? Oh, it's over on the other side. But Shadow Dark is a TTRPG. Came out a couple of years ago. And I'm going to be running my home game through it. And also, the same campaign, I'll be running, hopefully, an actual play on a channel sometime in the near future, hoping. Either way, I'm prepping for both. But the way I'm breaking down this actual play is that, excuse me a second, is that I want to do 6 episodes, 2 hours per episode. So essentially, I have 12 hours of time to fill over the whole thing, right? And so this easily breaks down into 3 acts in 4-hour blocks, right? So episode 1 and episode 2 will be act 1, episode 3 and 4, act 2, episode 5 and 6, act 3. Sort of. I mean, there's going to be wiggle room there, and depending where beats hit, and the other thing is depending what the players do. Because unlike a movie or a book, there's an element of, I don't know what's going to happen. And I need to have plans for that, or plans that can be easily adjusted based upon what the players do. Because, again, in TTRPG, we're telling the story together, right? And so I need time for the players to make their decisions, to say their things, and to do the things that they want to do, you know, while I'm moving the story along. And that's one of the challenges for actual play, is building in sort of that unstructured structured time, if that makes sense. And so when you're looking at a 2-hour stream, which I really want to get that down to an hour and a half someday, but right now we're looking at, say, a 2-hour stream. So you break that down even further, and that in the first 10 minutes is all your intros, right? And then maybe you give 5 minutes to a recap. So that's 15 minutes of your 2-hour time, right? You do your intro, you let your cast do all their intros, and a recap, that's going to be 10-15 minutes of your time. And then, at least for D&D, now I've never run Shadow Dark before. This is why my home game players are very kind to me and very understanding of what I do. And so our experience will be vastly different than what this will wind up on stream. So now, and we don't have the intro part because we know each other, we know who we are, right? But for a show, you want to do an intro, you want to give everyone credit, and then you want to recap. So we recap, and then instead of 2 hours, our sessions might go 4-6 hours, right? So the timing is a little different. And so then you have the middle part, and then at least in Dungeons and Dragons, I usually run 4 to 5 people in an actual play. And a fight, a standard D&D fight with 4 to 5 people can take relatively 45 minutes. Now, this will also depend on your players and the type of monsters. There's room for adjustment, but if I don't have at least 40 to 45 minutes planned out for the fight, I'm probably not going to fit that whole fight in 1-2 hour block of time. It's just not going to happen. So, and I don't know how this will work for Shadow Dark because I've never run Shadow Dark. I don't know how quickly the combat moves, if it's going to be relatively the same amount of time for relatively the same amount of people. Having more or less people can increase that time, right? There's a lot of variables. But for me, for 4 to 5 people, a combat is about 45 minutes of time. And that's full combat. That's players making their decisions, saying what they're going to do, the enemies acting, all that stuff. So you have to plan for at least 45 minutes, or you're cutting off the combat, or you're just not doing it that episode. Maybe you're continuing it into another episode, whatever. But if I don't have 45 minutes by the time they get to the combat round, I know I'm cutting it off, right? Or doing something else and then delaying the combat to the next episode. And then you need, another 10 minutes for player outros and things because, again, people are giving of their time and they deserve self-promotion. You want to promote yourself as a DM and give credit to where credit's due, what channel you're on, who's producing, who, the artwork. You want to give credit to all those people. And, have a few seconds to say, come back next week for episode 2, that type of thing, to encourage people to come on by. Or, that end time of the episode is also where you set up the cliffhanger. So maybe that is the middle of the battle. Maybe you've reached a kind of a crescendo point in the battle and you go, okay, we'll find out what happens in episode 2 next time. Or you have the big fight and then you leave on it. You lead the story to another cliffhanger and you get people back. So you got to think about all those things when you're looking at your individual episode time block. Again, usually I try to keep it in 2 hours. I know we have, as streamers, as people, and streaming content goes, we have wiggle room. We don't necessarily have to be as precise as a TV show or a radio DJ. Right? We have little time to experiment, but you also want to give people a sense of how long they're going to be there, how long they stay with you, what the time commitment is of listening to the show, so they can figure out, okay, I have an hour here, I can listen to the first half, pause it, come back to it later, listen to the second half of the show. So as I said, if I look at the typical 3-act structure, now you can do 4 acts, 5 acts, whatever fits. If I look at 3 acts, and for this particular show idea, this mini Shadow Dark campaign, or Shadow Dark mini campaign, I guess would be the right way for those words to be in. So I want to do 6 episodes, 2 hours per episode. And so the typical things you would do in an Act 1 is intro the characters, the setting, the tension, what that is, and then you break into Act 2, and there are certain timings for this. If you're looking at a 90-minute or a 2-hour screenplay, right, you would have, so if you were looking at a 2-hour screenplay, you would do 30 minutes Act 1, Act 2 is an hour, and then Act 3 is that final 30 minutes. And so whatever length your screenplay, if it's 90 minutes, you divide it up in that way where the middle part is kind of the longest bit, that Act 2. And so having 12 hours total, I can extend that out and experiment with time a little bit more, and we have more time to do some character work and things like that as they travel through the story and get to whatever the conclusion might be. So for my rough estimate, I've broken down this into 3 acts. Again, Act 1, Episode 1 and 2, Act 2, 3 and 4, Act 3, Episodes 5 and 6. Is it really going to be that neat? Probably not, but it's something to kind of strive for. You know, maybe the switch into Act 2 happens not from between Episode 2 and 3, but somewhere into Episode 2 before Episode 3 even starts. And then the other consideration is having these moments of a twist, and this is from Sid Field wrote a book on screenwriting. I think it's just called Screenplay, but it's a book I've read 2-3 times. I might even go back to it for this. And between Acts 1 and 2, you have something that launches the plot in a different direction, and then between 2 and 3, you have another point which launches the plot into another direction towards your end. Right? So 3 acts, two incidences at certain points. So that's kind of the structure I'm looking at for all of this. And what time do we have? Okay, we got plenty of time. So I'm going to start up. And if you have any questions about what I'm doing, I'm going to talk through, as I'm doing things, I'm going to talk through it, and though I'm not going to share specifics, because again, you might be watching this campaign, or maybe you're one of my players that's playing in it, but I can give you the skeletal structure, and if you want to talk about DMing a home game, that's fine too. And because the home game is a different scenario where, I'm playing with my friends, we have snacks, we have drinks, we can take breaks at, whenever we need to. It can be less structured, and we can run longer. And so by making a tighter plan for the shows, when it comes to my friends, I can have kind of a more loose idea. Like, I will already have the goals and things where I want to see the story go, potentially, because they could take it in another more interesting direction, right? I have to account for that in my planning, that's a possibility of things happening, because players need agency. And again, that's part of telling a story together. All right. So if you want to talk about DMing and playing or anything I'm doing, I will be talking to you on occasion, going through what I'm doing and kind of what I'm thinking about in general terms as I go through the structure of my Obsidian campaign vault that I showed you earlier. I don't know, DC. This all sounds like stuff that will get players coming back to your table. Seems iffy, right? I mean, imagine having a game where players want to come back. That's wild. Oh. Speaking of Shadow Dark, they had a Shadow Dark is releasing a new their first kind of campaign world setting book they're calling the Western Reaches, and they did a successful Kickstarter for that. And as they're writing the book, as they're doing different sections of it, if you backed it, they're releasing portions of that material out so you can download, play test, try it out, see what it is before the final book. And I just got an email saying, hey, we got another little thing for you to look at. So that's pretty exciting too. All right, and let's give Shadow Dark credit. If you want to check out Shadow Dark for yourself, again, this will be my first time running Shadow Dark, so it's going to be an adjustment because mainly run D&D. I've run Werewolf before, but you can check out everything they have at thearcanelibrary.com. And this is kind of I want to try a different system or two with my home game before we get back in, before I start running up another longer D&D campaign. So we're going to try Shadow Dark, and then we're going to try maybe another TTRPG. I'm thinking of a mecha TTRPG I'd like to try. Just for something a little different, to change up the rules. And, you know, these are going to be shorter campaigns. A longer campaign, I don't structure nearly as well, especially a campaign I'm not planning on being in actual play. The structure is just different. But since this is purposely built to be limited in structure, I can add different story beats as I see fit. All right. So let's get into it. Let me bring up the windows I need to bring up for what I'm doing, or what I want you to see. All right, let's activate the lo-fi bit. Where is it? There it is. And then I have to do some audio switching, and then we'll put it up on screen, and everyone will get to see it, and we'll all be like, yay, it's on screen. Okay, need this over here. Toggle to maximize the window. Start some music. Go to the desk. Get some typing in. All right. Oh, these ran out of juice. Okay, just a second here. I got to adjust where the audio is coming out of. Why we have Wavelink. And games. And we need to add an app. We need to add Spirit City. Let me turn that down a bit. And, oh, I gotta activate audio ducking. There we go. That should be pretty good. Alright, should all be hearing music now. Let me take care of my headphones a moment while I'm So they're just not sitting loose on my desk. They're in their little charging case. So I can go charge them. All right. Close window. Let's see, we got everything active. We do. Sound's coming through. Yay. All right. Can minimize that. And then what else do I need to do? Oh, right. Since this is a game, whoop, here's the game screen. Let me actually, I gotta find where I send the game to. There we go. And then the window I want captured should be this one. And it should pop up. There we go. Look at that. Yeah, and then I'm gonna hide myself. Bing! Alright, there we go. Alright, let me just make sure my streams are going alright before I switch over. Okay, looks like everything's working fine. Actually, I kind of want to see what this looks like over on the YouTube vertical side. Oh, nice. It's a nice centered image of what's going on. Okay, cool. Cool. All right, so when I'm planning out a TTRPG, or sorry, not when I'm playing a TTRPG, but when I'm planning a campaign, what I like to do is have the main conflict in mind, right? Or the big bad person. And so in my campaign outline, kind of have an overview thing. And then I have a table for 3 main antagonists. And the 3 main antagonists, can be neutral towards the party. But as long as there's they have a name, a brief description, their primary goal, who is with them, and who operates against them. And then later on, I can make, the forces for or the forces against. How do they interact with the party, with the players? And let's turn this down a little bit more. And of course, typically what you hear as the sort of 3 main plots is man versus man, man versus nature, man versus self. Those are kind of the classic, here's your main plots you can fit a bunch of stories into, right? But for this is more in the category of people versus nature. Because the idea is that when the campaign world was created, an evil force from somewhere else, it was defeated, it was badly wounded, came flying into the galaxy, into the orbit, and as this world that we're going to explore in Shadow Dark was created, this evil got in and is hiding within the very Earth itself. And slowly, over time, it's increased in power over eons, over centuries. And now there's big consequences for for this. And, you know, there'll be some, did people cause this to awaken quicker? How did the various peoples of the world interact with this? What did they do to hasten this along, if anything? What did they stumble upon that awakened too much of it, that shoved the whole entire world into this peril that will be the main thrust of the story? And I don't know exactly what that's going to look like. Some of that will be up to the players. Because I did... Oh, let me... I can show you one more thing. Oh, actually, no, I can't. So, because there's names on there. If my home players don't want to be known, I don't want to give them out. But I made a hex map. And I gave my players 3d6. And they rolled them on the map. And wherever the highest number on those 3d6 landed, that was where their hometown would be. And if they rolled doubles, you know, like we had 2 5s come up, I just let them pick what hex they wanted out of the 2 5s instead of picking up the dice, re-rolling again. Just, it made it easier. So I have 3 towns that I have no idea about, and I told them for our next session coming up on Saturday is that, okay, give me 3 things, 3 facts about your town. And they can be anything. They don't have to be more than a sentence long. It can be, this is the town your grandma lived in, and so the rest of your family was there. She always made this pie, and you always think about this particular brand of pie. You know, this blueberry pie was fantastic, and so that's there. That's in this city named whatever. It can be something like that. It can be this city was known for furniture or for mining or whatever they want. Right? Just 3 things that's about. And I didn't know where these cities would be until they rolled the dice on the map. So I have 3 cities I don't know about that'll be there. And then after that, I'm like, okay, now what are locations you would like to see? Each one of you will get kind of a, what type of building would you like to see somewhere else on the map? And then I gave them kind of an area of where to place this other building. So they came up with, we have an old library. We have temple ruins, and looking. Oh, looks like they were good with like a library and a crypt. So those were added to the map, right? I don't know anything about this library and crypt yet, but I got to come up with something for these eventually. And also on the map, I had about 4 locations already planned out. And I'm like, okay, I kind of have some idea of the story I want to happen if they go here, if they go here, if they go here, depending where they pick. And then from there is how the story unfolds. How once they start going towards that location. Again, I don't know where that location is going to be till we get to it on Saturday, and I lay out all the options. I say, okay, here's your choice of where to go. Here are the known main landmarks of things you can look at to possibly help the situation you're in, or help, you know, someone else. Where do you want to go? And because this is going to be a shorter campaign, that will probably dictate what happens with the rest of it. So some of the 4 places they may not even get to because of the shorter time span. But the campaign's still going to play out. There's still going to be a final battle. But what all that looks like depends on where they go. Right? I'm not making them make a choice. I have these ideas like, okay, now that you've selected here, kind of this route happens. And I don't plan every single little detail out, because that you'll never actually run the game. I usually plan out just enough for the session and maybe a little extra. Or if I have too much for the session, I can carry it over into the next session that we play. But depending where they go will influence the rest of how the story plays out and where things are, and, you know, different beats. So I'm going to have kind of a list of things that I can put in different locations, and then they just need to kind of make sense for that location. So maybe I have thing, and then 3 or 4 ideas where that thing can be, and maybe it'll fit, maybe it won't, maybe I abandon it entirely. That's part of the game, right? Is, since it's a tabletop role-playing game, part of it is being able to abandon plans. And so I try to at least have a little outline of various things I can go to should I need them. And then the other things, I either shuffle them around, put them somewhere else, or I abandon completely. And maybe if I return to this story, I use them, or I use them in some other way in another campaign. All right, so let me put up another window here. Here we go. Oh, and one more programming note for Tech Friday coming up on Friday. It is CES 2026, and so Tech Friday will be going over, CES is the Consumer Electronics Show, if you don't know. We'll be going over what happened during CES. We already have some announcements. I have quite a list started of things I found interesting. I may have to pare that down even more just to fit in the time we have. But all right. So this is going to be a stream. If you want to talk about planning, if you have your own activity to do, I'll be typing and talking. Let's see here. Let's get to my campaign outline. So 3 main antagonists. Okay. So this vast evil that is within the planet itself needs a name. As a goal. Now there's going to be people for it to win the scenario. And there's going to be a couple factions against it, mainly the players. And don't quite know what they'll look like, but we will call... So see, I have already... So I've named my first main antagonist, and probably the only really big antagonist, because this is a shorter campaign. If it was a longer campaign, maybe I'd, flesh it out, have more, fill out all 3 main antagonists completely. But I think we have one big antagonist and then a couple sort of generals, if you will, underneath there. But already for Forces 4, I've come up with a name. And the Forces 4, the big evil, I'm calling Cultists. And so then just now I was like, well, Cultists of what? Cultists of Ruin. Perfect. So now I have a faction called the Cultists of Ruin. I don't know what they do yet. I don't know how they operate. But I have something to play. I have another faction for the players to fight against. Right? That will delay the players, or try to ruin the plans and bring all the great evil plans to fruition. And yeah, that's why I like the little table I made. It's just that easy. So now I have this whole cult. I can come up with what they do, who they are, But we're gonna have to take a break here soon. Okay, who else can... do this? And I can still change all this, right? This is just the primary things. Oh, we gotta take a break soon. Okay. And the neat thing about having 3 main antagonists is Forces Against. I can have one of my antagonists, I can have the Cultists of Ruin be against this other person. I came up with a general. And so now the Cultists of Ruin can be against him. The general's still a bad person. But now the players can decide, for this general, do we go in and do we help the Cultists of Ruin, or do we get rid of the Cultists of Ruin and do this on our own because we can? What's going to be their play? And this general will command a force I'm calling the Standing Army. And the Standing Army is going to claim to be the last great army, the last army of the world that is standing for all people. But it's going to be misguided. It's going to be, the bad guys. So now suddenly, in just a space of a few minutes, I have 2 bad guys and 2 forces that work with these bad guys, and 1 force that works against another bad guy. And all this goes into an easy table. Again, when I'll publish this out for this vault out for everybody, and you can fill in your own. And so already I have some conflict forming. I have the heroes, I have their factions, but I also have the bad guys and what they're going for, and how how each of them interacts with the world will be different than, or they'll react to the world in different ways and have different goals. Yeah, so it is very handy little table. And you can see where you have, and then again, and where the players go. Do the players even run into the Cultists of Ruin, or is just the Cultists of Ruin, is their influence felt somewhere, and they don't actually have the time to go and deal with them all properly? And then maybe we can use some of that for perhaps another campaign. So yeah, all right, let's take a break here. As I'm dividing up things. And I'm going to run some ads, keep the pre-rolls away. Thank you all for being here. And I'll be right back in about 5 minutes. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking on through the break. Oh, let me do a quick thing here. Boop, there. That should solve any audio issues. Okay. Sorry about that. I was trying something a little different there, so. All right. Get my feet back in the feet warmer. And again, if you want to talk about TTRPGs or planning, anything like that, let me know in chat. All right, so what was I working on here? We were doing the main enemies, kind of the main forces. There it is. All right, so I have 2 of the 3. I usually have. Now I need a third. So we have the BBEG. We have the lesser BBEG. Now we need one more kind of lesser BBEG. And what could it be? You know, it's either a person, place, or a thing, right? What if it was a thing? What if it was just a thing that existed? Now you have to go and you specifically have to go to the place where this thing is in order to deal with it. No, still might be more interesting if it was a person. Because then we can have dialogues and talk. Because I think sort of the people versus nature element of the overall campaign will take care of that. So it'll probably be better to be another person or another being. Because right now we have this inner evil. We have a couple of outer evils, right? That are just people that exist in the world. Do we play with planes? Do I create an other evil? Or an other faction, I should say. Again, the factions like the cultists and the standing army could be misguided. There are some of them could be misguided. Maybe you can convince a few of them over to your side. Maybe not. But what if there was a force from another plane that came in? And what if they're more neutral? The more neutral option. Because the standing army could become a neutral option. But what if we had a being from another dimension come in and they are stuck here because of what's happening. But possibly letting them return to their home has its own consequences. And letting them exist here to continue to exist has a different set of consequences. That could be interesting too. So now I need a name for this thing. Not this thing, but this being. Well, there was another antagonist I wanted to use, but maybe we can integrate some of that. Oh no, I can... Alright, sorry, I'm kind of taking two ideas and mashing them together. I need a name for it. Okay, I know what I'm going to call this being. Okay, and we need another force. Okay, we'll come up with a name. All right. So now I've created a lot of things for myself to deal with. Oh, those are good notes, Rex. Let me make an NPC entry. Thanks to Obsidian, I can just do this. Oops, wrong bracket. And then I can click. Then I can say new note. Oh, what do I call this person? Paint. Okay, we have a note here. They are okay. So questions. All right, so we gotta have questions, and I'm just going to copy what you put down here, Rex. Thank you. What is the area of effect of this extraplanar entity? Who benefits from them being here? All right. Who pays the price? What is the toll it takes on the world? All good questions to answer. And then it's area of effect. Rebels could be trying to get those in authority to do something about it. Since their land does not produce value to authority, nothing is done. No, thank you, Rex. I have put those down in a note because those are questions I will look at and answer at another time. Probably not today specifically, but those are all good things to think about. And I think that plays into okay, did I? All right, where did their thing go? Let's add them here. Oh, I know what I'm doing. Double bracket. There we go. I needed the double bracket. Yeah. So yeah, because I already put the standing army as a force against this entity. And so they could be the ones who say, do something about this. To the general, this could be a concern for those troops. And so we kind of have these neutral factions and these evil factions in conflict with each other, and also in conflict with the players and the other sort of, I don't know, other good to neutral aligned factions. And for reference, Shadow Dark has 3 alignments, if you will. They have good, neutral, and chaotic. And chaotic tends to be reserved for the kind of the bad guys, right? That's just how Shadow Dark works. And I like that there's only three alignments, kind of, and they have a little bit of a bearing on characters and things like that too. But for this particular game, I don't really like dealing with evil player characters because it's not that type of campaign. I just don't run evil campaigns usually. And so my home game players are either going to be good or neutral. And neutral is going to be druids as well, right? That's the whole idea, at least in Shadow Dark, behind druids, is that they are for nature, and they're kind of this neutral force in the world. But neutrality can look a little different depending on who you are, where you are, and so can good, right? So can evil. What are we talking about? Hello, welcome on in. I am designing my home game campaign, and this may also be part of a actual play I run on a streaming channel, hoping that all comes together. And so I'm making if you ever heard of the game Shadow Dark, if not, go to arcanelibrary.com and check them out. They're a TTRPG. And so with my home game, I'm taking a break from D&D, and we're going to try a couple new games, so. Yeah, no, I increased my rank in spirit. Nice. Let's see here. Let's change the lighting. Let's make it evening. Yeah, there we go. Oh, that's lovely. Let's see if I can just put that link in chat. And I've never run Shadow Dark before, so it's going to be new all around. And plus, it's also my home game is very kind to me, is willing to let me use them for experiments. Or at least role-playing game experiments. That sounds awful. Yeah, there's the website, thearcanelibrary.com. So I'm running through this stuff. I'm kind of being a little general about what I'm talking about, because if you watch the show, or if any of my home players are watching this stream later, then I don't want to reveal all the stuff, right? Spoilers, right? Welcome in. Good to see you again. Yeah, I try to want to avoid spoilers for the for the people. So if you have specific questions about running games, I have run many an actual play. I've done a lot of actual play charity streams. So a lot of one-shots. I've done quite a few campaigns. On other channels. And so if you have questions on those, or you just want to talk about tabletop role-playing games and what you do for when you're looking at campaigns, what you design, that type of thing, And right now, I use Obsidian for all my writing, and I've created this vault for my TTRPG campaign. And so I'm right now I'm working on my campaign outline specifically, and we just came up with the 3 main antagonists. The next part is something I borrow from Sly Flourish, Mike Shea over at slyflourish.com, and he has a bunch of fantastic books. If you've never read the Lazy GM Guide or any of his books, check them out. They're absolutely incredible. But one of the things he has in there is 6 campaign truths. These are 6 things that are true in your campaign. They could be. You still want to be flexible, but these are the things that are. These are 6 things that you can grab onto that are real. Wait, was it the 6 truths I got from him, or was it? Uh-oh. Anyway, so we're at 6 truths of the... Oh, I see what I did. Okay. I got confused with my own organization. So these are 6 things that are... more on the immutable side, but you still want to be flexible, because maybe what that truth is changes, or suddenly you're playing the game and you go, it would make more sense if this was something else. But it gives you and your players a solid base to at least start from, and then you can change it later as you go on, because again, it's not a novel, it's not a screenplay. It's a game, and you're telling the story together. So, I need 6 of these. And if you've seen my previous actual play things, like the charity actual plays, I usually make really funny, or I fill them with puns, and then my players look at me funny. I usually go a little more lighthearted, and this won't be quite as lighthearted as before. If you go over to the Vancouver by Night YouTube channel, I did a 4-episode werewolf campaign for them, and that was one of the darker campaigns I've run. So feel free to check that out. That's Vancouver by Night. They do tremendous amount of stuff involving the world of darkness, and lots of fantastic episodes and shows to watch over there. But yeah, they had me on to run a 4-part werewolf campaign. And so that's a little more towards the I want to say sensibility, the theme I'm going towards with this Shadow Dark campaign, where most most of my other campaigns tend to be a little more lighthearted. There'll still be some of that because I'm me and I can't help myself sometimes, but there'll definitely be much more of a sense of dread. And things are really bleak. And so 6 campaign truths also don't have to be story elements. They can just be things that you and your players agree to. Right? So, and it's part of this for this campaign, we agree this. And so that goes into your 6 campaign truths, right? So they don't all have to be story-based. They just have to be things that are true for this campaign. You know, so you could even add in maybe you have a very specific homebrew rule that you've agreed on that changes quite a bit of the game you're playing. So you include that in. Now, you don't make it all homebrew rules. You just make it that thing that is really special that you're changing. And these can also be things that just you come up with and you don't share any of them with your players as well. So there's some latitude within these 6 campaign truths that you come up with. Or maybe you only share a couple of them. Maybe there's truths that you go, okay, these are... The idea is that you should share them with your players, though. You can use it how you want, but these are kind of the handshakes with your players. Let's see. So I got 3 down. I need 3 more. What I also like about doing this Shadow Dark game, the way I'm have it kind of planned in my brain, is that I'm doing a couple of things I've never done before. I'm experimenting with something. Again, there's one thing I don't particularly want to reveal right now, but I think it'll be fun. It'll be different. For lore, you can do what is known versus what is true as well. This can change by region, especially if there are 2 competing nations. Yeah. Okay. I'll bring the music up a little more. Let's see. So we're at 3. Maybe I need a little distraction for a second. Okay, captions. Sorry, I'm just double checking all my streams. Since there's technically 4 versions of the stream going out right now. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm putting in some guarantees of that this will be a constant in the campaign. This thing, whether you like it or not, will keep happening as we go through. I wrote one thing down, and now I'm just thinking of variations of it, but the variations don't help because I have the thing down, right? They're all variations of the theme, so that can't be another truth because I already have something that encompasses that thing. Alright, I already know the overview, so I'm gonna, just to get more done, I'm gonna go back to my overview and just type it in. I have it in my head, but I should have it down. So we'll come back to the 6 campaign truths and get the other 3 in there in a minute. Okay. see here. So in my campaign outline, there's the overview, the 3 main antagonists, and then that chart we go over 6 campaign truths, the inciting incident, and then I have a thing at the bottom for character connections. And now this is kind of up to the players. How do they connect to each other? How do they connect to the world? Again, they have, my players are each from a different town on the map, and who do they connect with from those towns? So that all gets filled in later once we talk about that and have the game going. But having these initial connections and talking about them, what did they find out about? Are any of you related? Do you know this person or that person? Or that's something for our first session with my home game on Saturday. But I'm back to needing more. Three more of the campaign truths. I could just leave it at 3. It doesn't have to be 6. It just had to be more than 2, really. But I think 6 is a good number. You can do more, or you can do fewer. I could just leave it at this. Again, I also have to consider that this is a shorter campaign. But what else can I put in here? Okay. Oh. Speaking of which, I just gotta... There's a newsletter I sign into for a person that does role-playing things, and they just sent out their new one talking about questions for players. Interesting. Oh, also, while I'm trying to think about this, something I'm doing with my players is that I mentioned I use Obsidian. I'm creating an Obsidian Vault. And so I am sharing I have a DM section. That's for me, right? The DM info, and then I have player info for what I share with the players and what they want to add. And to do that, I'm using Obsidian, and then I'm also using a plugin called Screen Garden that I use for Tech Fridays, and that, thanks to people like Rex and Mimics and Misfits, I can use for Tech Fridays. And then my players went in and we got Screen Garden service for our home game as well. So if you use Obsidian and you want to share part of your vault, there's lots of ways to do this. You don't have to use Screen Garden. This is just what I'm doing because it has live collaboration and it lets my players put stuff directly into the vault itself, which is where I keep everything. Instead of trying to copy and paste from an email or whatever, they can just edit on the web. They don't even have to install Obsidian, which is by benefit. So if you go there, you can look at the pricings and what the pricing, what it does for you, all that stuff there. So yeah, thanks to my players and thanks to Rex and Mimics and Misfits, I have 2 instances of it going for very different purposes, and it's been a fantastic tool. Okay. Oh, low on time. Oh boy. A little time left yet in today. Tomorrow, when come back, going to go into what are we doing? Suikoden. Yes, Suikoden 1. It looks like we're at endgame for Suikoden 1, and then we'll go into Suikoden 2 because got them both part of the HD remaster package. So might very well be endgame for Suikoden 1. And then if there's time, we'll break into Suikoden 2. And Friday will be Tech Friday, where we'll be talking about CES 2026 and some other things. CES is the Consumer Electronics Show, so all the big hardware manufacturers come out, and like Nvidia and Elgato, and well, not necessarily Elgato can be there, but Pebble is there, MSI, Lenovo, all the kind of big players. They announce products or have some weird concepts that they all put on the show floor, and there's a bunch of people at CES, and so we'll be looking at a few of those on Friday. I'll be paring my list down. There's still a couple days left of CES, so see what gets added to it by then. And so if you come by on Friday, come by with your favorite tech you saw that was announced during CES or just announced during this week, and we can talk about it. Once again, all my streams are at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, so come on by. For that, actually, let's wrap up here while I am still considering things. I have more work to do, but that's okay. I can do that off stream. Kind of know what our first session will look like, and that's my main concern. Is that part of the reason why I'm doing all of this is so it can translate somehow into an actual play show and into the home game, and a bit of both. So let's see who is on. Can send a raid over into. Da-da-da. Bring myself back up. Ta-da! Hi! Thanks for being here, everybody. Really appreciate it. Let's go here. Mute myself. And who do we have on today? All right, Steven's on playing Hollow Knight, Silk Song. We'll go over, say hi to Steven. So thanks for being here, everybody. Come back tomorrow for Suikoden 1. I'll be great. But we're going over to Stephen Joy's. I'm going to go have dinner and work on this some more. Really appreciate you all being here, and I will see you all tomorrow. Have a great evening, and stay tuned for the raid. Bye.